The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Whether you're new to sales or a lifetime veteran, the Blackbelt Sales Podcast will sharpen your sword and guide you to master the art of sales. And now, here's your host, the ninja himself, Gene Slade.
Hey, welcome back to the Blackbelt Sales Podcast. Gene Slade here, your host, and I have got Don Johnson in the booth with me this morning. What is up, Don?
Good morning, Gene. Another great day, excited. And what do you do when the company just keeps pushing you? So that's a good topic for today, because I know the HVAC guys, the air conditioning guys right now, man, they probably are loaded up. We're hearing that, this is the season. Summer was a few days ago, so you're right. It is the time that we often feel so pushed that we end up almost looking back in 3 or 4 months disappointed that we just missed. We ruined so many opportunities. So
it's drunken monkey season, Don.
Yeah, I often would say, the other seasons of the year, people treat us like we're trolls under a bridge. Don't talk to those guys. But this is the time of the year where people will follow you to the gas station and ask you to run over to their house and put a little freeze on in their system.
You top it off
and
for
a freeze in it.
Top it off for me, please.
Yeah. So,
have you guys heard of drunken monkey season? What is drunken monkey season? Don, what is it?
Well, even, like I said, just throw anything at it and it would work. But even a drunken monkey could go out and write up an order. So are you a salesman? Or are you an order taker? That's what this really does. Lots of people will put up some numbers this time of year, and they want to pat themselves on the back. Look at me, man, I'm awesome. And they're order taking, right? It's wonderful. Time of the year, enjoy it, appreciate it. Do you? One of the marketing guys says, do you want to have the best hamburger in town, or do you want to just have a hamburger stand where it's right next to a bunch of starving people, right? Yeah. That's the analogy we have right now. You have a hamburger stand, and there's just tons of people who need your service, and that's great. I'll take it, but we can't look and be order takers if we want to maximize our income, if we want to maximize these opportunities and make the most of this. Some areas of the country, some guys make half their income in the next 3 months. Said the other way, they starve for 9 months of the year so they can basically get back to break even in these 3 months to do it all again. How can we keep from doing that this year?
It's so funny that we're talking about this. I'd actually talk about this almost every single year around this time of the year, because I think that, and I know we service a lot of different trades, but the HVAC industry specifically, would it surprise you guys to know that in the summertime, the busiest time for HVAC companies, that is the time where more air conditioning companies lose money or go out of business than any other time of the year? Why is that, Don? Why do we see every summer these guys losing money or going out of business?
Well, you can outgrow the structure of your company, and that's part of it to me. If someone is getting so much work and they're so busy concentrating on the next call and the next call and the next call, and they're more worried about how many calls are waiting, we tend to be very wasteful in what we're doing. We're not maximizing the revenue. We're buying stuff that we might not need just in case, just save us a trip, and our bills accelerate, our cash flow kind of cuts back, and then somewhere we have to pay the piper. And Yeah, I believe what you're saying is these are the months that we run up the bills that we can't pay when it slows down, and that's when we really go out of business. These are the months that really cause us to go out of business. Sometimes it takes another 30 or 60 days because our vendors will float us a little cash because, man, y'all are so busy. This is great. Look at all the business, and they'll float you, and then they'll look up and go, you owe us $100,000, and
That's kind of my point.
Today, if you don't give it to us today, then we're not letting you buy anything else. And then you realize I can't buy the next job because I'm so strung out. And these are the months that this happens.
Yep. So, and it's so funny because I say that they go out of business, that this is the time of year that puts them out of business, but it's not right now that they'll go out of business. It'll be the fall.
Yes.
Right. Because they built up those accounts and everything. And here's the deal. You guys are running more calls, but you're running more calls for less money. All right. So let's just do some quick math. Would you rather run 3 calls a day with a $2,000 average ticket without equipment? Or would you rather run 6 calls a day with a $1,000 average ticket without equipment? Which would you prefer? Which one will you make more money off of? Have you ever considered, Don, when you owned your business, have you ever considered when it got super, super busy, just saying no, just saying we're full?
Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, we go all year looking for calls, and now the phone starts ringing, and we have to turn them away or be selective. Let's make sure if we can only run. I'm gonna pick those 3 calls at 2,000 over the 6 at 1 because I'm getting less potential mistakes, less potential liability on me, and then I'm getting more revenue for probably less actual truly cost to go do it. So
less wear and tear on my vehicle, less
yes.
gas, less chance that a guy is going to get into an accident. Have you ever considered that? Half the miles, half the chance of an accident. Like,
yes,
you guys, please consider this summer. And at the same time, Don, I think that sometimes we don't look at it from the employee's perspective, from the team members' perspectives. Right. You're going to work these guys. Some of you out there, I know you're going to do it. You're going to work these guys 70, 80 hours a week. And when they go to their last calls, just go ahead and track it. When they go to their last call or 2 for the day, just look at what those average tickets are. And tell me they're not going out there and just throwing a capacitor or a contactor on and beating feet, getting out, not doing the full inspection.
Sure.
You're shooting yourself. It's like sticking your foot out and blowing 4 toes off. I don't get it. But I do get that it's hard to say no to business because you're like, I need to make as much revenue now as I can because I'm afraid that in the fall, boom. And that goes back to having maintenance agreements, which I heard at one conference were dead.
Yeah. The worst part of what you said there on that last call going down is we're training ourselves that it's okay to be mediocre, right? Yeah. We're not expecting ourselves to be high performers. We're just more interested in getting through the call than we are interested in getting things out of the call. So
David Coker here is exactly what I used to do, Don. He schedules 3 calls a day and room for 1 emergency call at the end of the unscheduled day. That's perfect.
That's
just
great.
Keep in mind that if it is an emergency service call and it's their 3rd call of the day and they've spent 3-4 hours on each call, they're probably still going to burn that deal too. So, right. Hey guys, if you're watching live, will you please put live down in the comments? If you're watching on a replay, will you please put replay in the comments? Help us to trick this algorithm into sending this out to some more people. I do appreciate you for that.
That'd be great. Yes. So we have to look at maximizing the call. We don't want to form bad habits, whether it's ourself as self-discipline or as the owners kind of teaching our people how to half-ass the jobs type situation. We want to hold ourselves to the highest standard on every call, not just when when we have the time, so to speak. So we want to make sure that we don't form those bad habits, that it's okay to blow through. It was just a 8-year-old system. It was just a capacitor. When you hear just a, being said, and you say it yourself, but you hear it from your technician. It was just they just blew a lead for you.
Yeah.
That's what that was. We justify why we give subpar performance.
And it's hard to get mad at technicians at the end of the day for burning a call. I mean, I know I've done it myself in the past. I'm 12 hours into my day. I'm exhausted. I went through 3 shirts. I'm hot. I'm sweaty. I'm stinky. I want to go home. Right. So I understand why they do that, which is why I really encourage you to not put those burdens on your technicians. Staff up if you can, but learn to say no. And take care of your priority existing maintenance customers first.
Well,
we'll wait longer than you
take care of as a business decision, as your dispatcher. Sometimes they just want to please the person who screamed the loudest because they don't want to get fussed at. And we have to look at what is the best business decision, right? I might have a maintenance customer and it's an hour drive to get to. Okay, they've got a plus because they're maintenance, but they've got a negative that it's an hour drive. I don't want and an hour back. I don't want 2 hours of windshield time when I could have planned out a little bit better of a day. So now maintenance customers are our most important people. They are our future. I agree with that.
Yeah.
This is the time of the year that you plant all those seeds, if I can say it that way, but you sell a bunch of maintenance agreements so that this fall, next spring, we're back in plenty of houses. We have our consistency from that point on. So I'm excited, that this season is coming along, but we can't just say yes to the person who screams the loudest. We have to say yes to the one that makes the most business decision. And how do you say no to customers without hurting their feelings? That's, can you get here today? That's just not possible today. However, I could get you taken care of tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday. That's a much better way than can you come out? No, that hurts when you say that. So that's just not going to be possible today. Not is a lot less harsh than the word no. That's just not going to be possible today. However, would Tuesday be good for you? Now, I'm going to tell you to ask a few more questions. Are they in your zip code? As a business owner, I'm going to tell you, top 10 zip codes, that's the place that you should be taking your calls from. Let's push all our business into 10 zip codes. And you're thinking, I got to go way all over the place to get enough business. You can have a big enough company in 10 zip codes. We did somewhere around $8 million out of our top 10 zip codes. That's a pretty nice amount. And in hindsight, I should have cut the other zip codes down quicker because I could have probably driven $10 million worth of our business out of those.
I got to pause you. I got to pause you because I want to know how did you come up with these 10 zip codes in 2 minutes or less? How did you come up with those?
Studied where was I doing a lot of business, and where was the population? So I'd look up the population in each zip code, each area, and then I'd come up with say, all right, this is where we're doing business. This is where we want to do business. So some of it was our history, and some of it was just go out to Google and start looking at where are all the houses? Where's all the money? Most of you guys know the areas, but you put those two together. You put those two together.
You're looking for incomes and or higher median home values in those zip codes.
Yeah, and I think we generally know that. We know what area of the town is the good side or the bad side. I just really want to know where are all the houses, right? I can take a little lower medium income house if there's 3 times more houses in that area, right? So it's not always the highest income or the highest house value. It's where there's a lot in my group. Now, I don't mean I want to be in the shotgun houses on the wrong side of town, nor do I have to always be in a $5 million mansion. I'm okay if I get in those.
And so more densely populated areas, you're able to reach more people from a marketing perspective, which is one of the reasons you use that, right?
And then my truck, I can put a billboard in the area. My truck, and that my billboard is my truck, as really when I say that. My truck is the billboard. And if it's in that area more, it's basically paying for itself. So there's a lot of that. Now, that's the business. How do you pick those? You have to do some research. How do you teach your CSRs?
But real quick, Don, like I want you to talk to the guy out there that's got a $3 million, $2 million company. And this is the first time he's really considered the zip code thing. Give me 3 things to look for so that I can do that today. So what are the three criteria that you would want me to look at in my zip codes in my area? So densely populated, but not the hood.
Exactly. Proximity to my office is important. Now, if you're not in those areas, if you're not close, then you can still make that decision. You're just going to be a little bit harder because Google's going to reward you the closer you are to it. So in and around, own your backyard before you try to own the away fields, right? Let's win every home game. So how close are we? Is my business in the right side of town? How many houses? And if you don't know how many houses, you go look at population and divide by 2.5, very typically 2.5 people in a home. So divide, and it really doesn't matter what you divide by, but that gives you a good enough answer to look at. That's how many homes are in that area, the population divided by 2.5. Some could argue 3, but 2.5 to 3. Now I know how many homes. Every home is worth $1,000 in this day and age, right? Every home in your zip code, in that zip code, is worth $1,000. They will spend $1,000 on average per year on their HVAC system. Okay, if we're plumbing, we use a little different number, but we're talking about HVAC right now. $1,000 is how much every house will spend every year on average. One will spend 10, 9 will spend nothing, but that's $1,000. Now I do that math and go, if I got 20% market share, would I be the size company that I really want to be? Most of us could be the size company we want to be in one zip code, 2 zip codes, 3 zip codes, just to be that. I picked 10 just because, right? Just didn't know if I could get to be 10 million in one zip code. But I had 10, essentially 10 $1 million zip codes was my plan. We never quite got there, but we were pretty close. Several zip codes did over 2 million and several did under 1 million, but it was the way you kind of pushed it. So that's the 3 things. How many houses, what's the population leads me to how many houses. And then from that standpoint, I want to know how close it is. And if I dominated it, would I be happy with my revenue for that year? Would that meet my big goals? And if that's the case, why are we chasing everybody? Let's own that zip code, that 2 zip code, that 3 zip code.
Don, you said when you looked at it, you said if I could own 20% of the market share in this zip code, could I make the size company I want? What, based on your experience, I mean, I know what I've been told, but based on your experience, what's a good goal for market share in a specific town or in your area? What would you consider to be you're the dominant player?
There are a lot of companies out there, so even owning a few percent market share can make you feel like you're one of the top guys. But based on Ron Smith and HVAC Spells Wealth, I want to say 15 to 20% is a very good number. You are very dominant if you're 15 to 20%. I had some zip codes that I considered myself 10 to 12 and was happy, even though they were like small markets. And part of me would say, well, why am I in that market? And you're like, because we're the dominant people there. We do 12% of all the business in that zip code. I'm not going to give that up, even though it didn't have as many houses as I wanted it to have. It was the trade-off, right? So that's why that combination is there. But I think 10% is a great number. 20% is possible, but that is work. You're not going to be 50, 80, 100% of the market in any zip code.
One of my other friends who has been in the game a long time, even worked with Blue Dot at one point, so that tells you how far back he goes from an acquisitions perspective, his opinion is that once you hit around 10%, you're typically the dominant player in that market.
Mm-hmm. That's big. I mean, we had probably, just 400 or 500 contractors, and that didn't count the guys doing it illegal or whatever. That's a licensed contractor in our marketplace. A little small area, but million population. But 4 or 5, 500, that's 0.2, 1/5% if everybody was equal. So if you just get 1%, you are 5 times over that average, if that makes sense. So 1, 2, 3% still an accomplishment, but 10, you are very strong. And Freedom, my company, I'm no longer with, but it had zip codes that had market share in that 10%, 8s to 12. I don't know that I've ever passed 12% in one little area, but
so this is definitely longer than 2 minutes, right? Is there a third thing that I want to look at?
I think that's just put it together put it together with where you see your business going as well. What do I want to become? Where's my long-term vision? Where do I want? If I'm going to think about it that way, that's the next thing. I grew a market share and then moved my office into it because I wanted that. I wanted that market share, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the big picture. Where do I see myself growing and becoming as part of that pick? So, and then I wanted to group those together as much as possible so that as many people saw all our vans all day long in those zip codes. So the close proximity together becomes some common sense behind it, but you just have to look at that math and see if it works for you. But
when you're concentrating on these zones like this, guys, and you're not spread out all over like a shotgun too, you look like a big company, right? Because your trucks are more concentrated. People are constantly seeing them. And now I had pink trucks for my first company, so people would tell me they'd see them everywhere, but we were pretty dense as well for the first several years. So people would say, man, I can't leave my house and go to work or go from work to the store without seeing one of your vehicles.
We got that. My philosophy was you had to be in that, an advertising program had to hit my 10 zip codes or it was a no. I'm not putting a billboard over there just because it's cheap or just because, or at that school because somebody asked. It had to be in my 10 zip code area. I would support a school and put a sign up at the ballpark or the football field from time to time, but they had to sit in those 10 zip codes or it was a no. It was a no. Spend all your money where you want to grow and you'll look up and suddenly that's where you'll be. So that's a big part of that. So there's some business owner decisions. There's some CSR conversations that have to be done. But Gene, as a technician and the company's rushing you, what can we do? What can a technician do to not mess up, not hurt himself?
Well, owners might not like this, but when I was a technician, there was nothing more important to me than the client that I was with, right? I've always said that you have to dance with who you're with, and you can't be thinking about the next call. So if I'm going to be in communication with a customer, if I'm going to be face-to-face with them, my phone typically is going to stay out in the car because, like, as simple as it might seem or as innocent as it might seem, when that thing rings or buzzes and you even just look at it and put it back down, that can kill sales big time. You want to give the client your full and entire focus. Right. And I would just say, look, there are some, we all know this, depending on the size of company that you have been involved with. There are some guys that run 7 or 8 calls a day. And there are some guys that can just only run 3. Okay. Myself, if you give me tune-ups, I can only run 2 a day. We were on duct quotes and stuff. I could only do 1.5 per day on average, we found out, because I was so thorough and I was getting all the jobs, right? So as a technician, I would say dance with who you're with. Leave your phone in the car when you have to. Do check in with dispatch. If you're going to be longer than you're supposed to, just send a message. Go, hey, look, I'm running into some things on this job that were unexpected. I'm going to be longer than normal, right? The office's job, mission control, right? You got to leave the scheduling to them. The purpose of your job is to generate revenue and profit for the company, right? That is your job. It's the purpose of your job. So do your job. And then, look, I've also found that if you become really good at your job, maybe you're only doing $1 million or $2 million a year right now, and you're getting treated differently than somebody that would sell $4 or $5 million. So the other piece of advice I would have would be to double down on your communication skills, because the more revenue you generate, the more leverage you have. That's one of Don's favorite words. The more leverage that you have with the boss. Does it make sense that people are not really equal? So why would you treat people equally? You should treat them fairly. Yeah, fairly, because people are not equal. So a guy that sells $4 or $5 million a year, if he can do that on 3 calls a day, working 4 days a week, you think I'm going to push that guy and say, no, you have to work 6 days a week because I need you to generate, $7 million? No. That guy's going to get more control of his schedule. He's going to get more leniency. So double down on your communication skills. You'll only ever be worth maybe $100,000 or so with your hands. Okay. But if you use your words, use your big boy words. If you use your words, there is no ceiling. Okay. And you can get, Don, people don't realize what freedom really is. A lot of people. Guys, you might think you want to retire, but you don't really want to retire. I already did that once. Semi-retirement was boring as hell. Okay. The true definition of freedom to me is being able to choose when you work, love working, and then be able to do what you want when you want, right? If you make $500, $1 million a year as a salesperson in this business, you're going to have a pretty good life. You're going to be able to experience some things, and you're not working. You're not living to work. You're working to live, if that makes any sense.
Everybody has a number, and when they pass that number, the quality of life suddenly starts to elevate. I want more time with my family. I want to go on nicer trips. I want my kids to have the life I didn't have. I want my wife to have the stuff my wife would want. You know, that kind of stuff starts changing your thought process. Early on, it becomes a necessity. I have to work, I pay the bills, the survival. Once you pass a certain number, a certain level, it changes. And you have to maximize the calls that you're on to get to that level of having that flexibility. I call it freedom, but I like the word flexibility there. Flexibility to work when I have, can, and flexibility to not when I'm ready to go take a 10-day trip. It's flexibility, right? Yeah. So that's a big part of it. One thing I want to say for, we're getting closer to the end. One thing I want to say for technicians, when you're pushed, and sometimes it just happens. Yeah. Think about your future. Think like the owner. Think like you're the owner of your own little company here, right? And plant the seeds so that when you come back this fall, it's ready. It's not a shock that you haven't mentioned these things or brought this up. So I'm just saying that think like, do the full inspections, make your list. But if all they buy is the mandatory, that's okay. Do the mandatory. But keep those lists, picture or whatever your company allows, and do follow-ups on those, not just in 3 days, but it may be a follow-up in September, October. Yeah. And been thinking about you ever since. You could plant a lot of nice to have seeds. If you follow our program, you know what that means. Things that are just very nice to have, like you're going to want to get your water tested. I'm a little busy today. But I'll definitely will put you on the list to get back here and test that water for you. You're going to want to plant a lot of seeds, a few of those are going to say, no, can you do it any quicker? And you'll end up with some immediate sales. But wouldn't it be nice to go into September with 100 people that are interested in indoor air quality, breathe easy,
right,
water filtration, or even fixing the airflow to the back bedroom type.
See, this is where you have to be a professional salesperson. There are very few professional salespeople in the trades. And what do I mean by that, Don? Don, you are a certified financial advisor, right? Is that correct? Certified financial planner, right?
Yes.
And when you got that license and you started your business, you had to create a book of business, right? You had to go out there and figure it out and get your own leads. We serve them up on a silver platter in the trades for people.
Right.
So
right.
if you ever do want to own your own company or have the ability to own your own company or run somebody else's, you want to start practicing the things that you're hearing Don talk about right now, because there's a reason for it. Right now, you're getting served up all these leads, and some of them are going to buy, some of them are not. But you've got a relationship with these people now. It might not be a very strong one. Why would you not keep track of these people so that when things get slow, you've got some place to go and at least have conversations rather than sitting at home getting depressed, doing shit that you shouldn't be doing, right? So,
remembering all the opportunities you wasted thinking, gosh, I wish I had those back now. Well, you can. Let's do the full inspection. Let's do our list, and let's get our mandatories. But that doesn't mean we couldn't nibble the whole rest of the year on the rest of the list, right? Think of it that way. We could go back. You're going to want to get this one too. Not just at this call. We could nibble in September, in next January. We can do that follow-up. Build yourself a whole winter's worth of work. And I'm not saying put off the work you could sell today. I'm just saying that if you don't do the full inspection and you don't make the list, then you don't have anything to follow up on.
Yeah.
You've got to be thorough when it comes to that.
So we're well past the midpoint of the show, and there's two things that we promised to talk about. One of them was, what do you do when you don't have enough calls, or let's say you've got downtime, right? Because we were talking about this morning, and one of the people that's in our mastermind who is his goal's $5 million plus this year. Mm-hmm. And that means that he's got to sell $100,000 a week. And sometimes he's got free time and he could go home and chill and relax for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, or he could be productive. And I'm going to share with you when we get back how he has used one strategy and tactic to add approximately $1 million a year in revenue run rate to his income in the last week and a half to 2 weeks or so. And we're going to show you a quick video here about the next event that we're holding. Guys, all of the successes, we'll have guys in our mastermind this month and next month, and probably the month after that will have $1 million months. Okay. $1 million months. And that could be you. But you haven't taken the steps necessary so far to get your communication skills up here. And that's what we do at Lead Ninja, among many other things. It's what I invest at. So September 29th through October 3rd is the next event. Here's a video to check out. It's probably like 60 seconds or so. And then we'll come back and I'll share with you how Eric has just added $1 million in revenue. And it's not what you think. Check this out.
If somebody was hesitant about coming to the Lead Ninja Mastermind, I'll tell them this. You can't afford not to go. It's going to change your life, but not only your life, your family's life.
You don't have to wait a year to start making the kind of money that you want to make. Corbin came out of here and within 30 days went from $250,000 to $500,000 in sales. So it doesn't take long as you put in the work.
The difference between others and this one's a lot more direct and a lot more informative in certain areas to help you overcome certain obstacles, where the other ones are just kind of broad for everybody. Last month, my total revenue for the month was only $5,200. We still have about 10 days left of the month, and I'm already at $13,500.
Yes, I have scripted out for you word for word exactly how to tell them about the money.
If you're struggling to get to that next level, this is the class that you need to be in.
My man,
class. How do they get in touch with you, Gene?
So easiest way is to either go to leadninjasystem.com. That's the website, Lead Ninja System, or you can text the number that's on the screen. That's 239-848-6533. That is my personal cell. So I'll hook you up, or I'll hook you up with one of my team members, and they'll get you all the information that you need. But if you want to go to the website, and just so you know, our website went down. So we've got like a one-pager up right now that's being redirected to that. And there's a couple of little errors that are being fixed right now, actually, as we speak. So if you see a typo or something like that, we know. We know. It's just a place for you to go and be able to book an appointment with me, or to go ahead and schedule your seats for the mansion. And just let me just share with you, we don't typically talk about the pricing on the air, but we're going to do it. Okay. And this is actually the cheapest I've ever been able to offer people seats to this thing. So there is a bunk room that's got 6 kings in it. And so each of those king beds is $64.97. That's the normal price of a twin bunk that we normally hold at the other mansions that we use. So if 2 people really wanted to squeeze into that, if you guys really want to do that, then you could do that for sure. The king suites themselves have got a king bed and a futon in it, so it'll sleep 3 people, 4 if you've got a blow-up mattress. Those king suites are $7,500. That includes your food, your beverages, everything while you're here, your lodging, everything. And then the second person is $2,500, and the third person is free. So, and the fourth person is also free if you've got 4 people and you want to put them all in the same room. So you could legit get for $2,500 what most people are spending $6,500 for, and what you'll have to spend $6,500 for in December. No bullshit. That will be the price in December, just like it always is. So this is the cheapest we've ever been able to do this. So again, my number is 239-848-6533, or go to leadninjasystem.com. Anything to say about that before we get into the rest of the podcast?
These are great events. I enjoy really working through the role play where you actually leave ready to be able to say these things to customers and actually make money. So many people are scared to ask about the money. And there's lots of guys that leave the class that that have a whole new light that they can ask about the money. And that in itself is huge. That's just a small piece of what's taught there, though. But
Darren, the guy in the video that said that he had done $5,000 the month before he came to the mansion, he's now consistently doing $80,000 to $100,000 a month, so 16 to 20 times his previous sales. He's got a completely different life now. In 90 days, the guy ends up getting full custody of his kids, ends up getting a new apartment, moves out of this crappy place that he was living in. All of his bills are paid off with just one weekly paycheck every single month.
Yes.
Completely. And now he's got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in the bank. He's like, dude, I'm a ninja for life. So I love those kinds of success stories, guys. We got so many success stories, from guys who were in prison to guys who were homeless, living in their cars with their wives or their families or their kids. And now they're making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and able to do things for their families that they never thought they'd be able to do. They're able to control their time. And I'm not selling here, y'all. I'm just sharing the truth about what's happened for people. There is no other program in the country that is better than this one. I promise you. And I'm the only guy that's got a 100% money back guarantee. You got to call me and have a conversation about what you have to do in order to get that 100% money back guarantee, because it's an action-based guarantee. But anyhow, nonetheless.
Yeah. How does someone add $1 million, Gene, to their existing sales?
Yeah. In a couple hours or less than an hour a day. Right. So what I used to do when I owned my company was I used to visit all the installs. And this is going to sound super simple to you guys. And you're, it can't be that easy. Trust me, it is. So I would visit my jobs, and my installers knew to take the equipment that was, up in the attic or wherever and put it in the driveway, someplace that it would be visible, the filth, the dirtiness of it. Right. And I would always come out to each install and I would just check in on the job. I wouldn't even tell the people that I was the owner. I'd walk up. If they were outside and they saw me, I'd wave at them, go, "Hi, I'm Gene." Just doing a quick quality control audit, making sure the guys have got everything that they need and that things are going well. Have things been going well so far? They'd be like, "Yeah." I go, "Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you." And I'd go check on the guys. And then I'd go stand out in the driveway. And most of the time they'd come over and stand next to me. And I'd just be looking at the piece of equipment. Go, "Have we discussed with you or consulted with you on how to make sure that your new system doesn't end up looking like this one?" Most of the time they go, "No." "Is that something you'd like me to do for you before I go?" And they'd say, "Yes." I'd go, "Okay, I'll put some options together." And I'd leave and I would come back. And on average, this is in today's dollars, if I do the math, on average, my average sale would have been the equivalent of about $11,000 in Breathe Easy equipment. And my closing ratio was in the high 90s on these calls. And so Eric has been doing the same thing. He's like, I had an hour and a half between a call. I went back on one of my installs. I had the installers pull the equipment out. I showed the customer. I asked the questions. And I'm selling between $4,000 to $8,000 on average on these calls, he says. $4,000 to $8,000. Can you imagine, as an owner, the amount of impact that would have on your gross profit and your net profit? Because the overhead's already paid, right, Don?
Right. Well, and you can install $4,000 to $8,000 worth of Breathe Easy products in probably no more time than we're already there. Now you're gonna say, "Oh, that's impossible." But you got they can do these items as they are cleaning up or as they're cycling the system and as they're really checking the charge and one guy can be doing that while the other guy is installing some of these other items that we're talking about, putting the filter.
Make sure you got them on your truck so you can leave them with the installers.
Yeah.
So you don't have to make runs and make it into a 2-day project. Yeah.
If the installer has to go get all the stuff, they would probably rather not install it. That's one thing we talk about a lot. If a tech
they want to get home too
doesn't have it on their truck, they just don't want to talk about it. If it's not easily accessible, because it's going to lengthen the day, it's going to make it frustrating, and they just want to get things completed. But as a comfort advisor or somebody, carry those items with you, present them, pull them out of your truck, put them on the install truck. There you go. You've got everything. Worst case is you go get it for those guys, but just have it with you. It works so much better. But has anyone consulted with you on how to make sure that your new equipment doesn't end up looking like your old equipment? That is such a simple phrase. You can listen to that again, listen to this play again. Such a simple phrase to get them to ask, started down this process. Most guys can explain indoor air quality or Breathe Easy products or can have a good they just can't get it started.
Yeah.
They're scared to get the conversation started.
That's a good point, man.
That phrase is, to me, that's the roller coaster. Click, 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 click. Yeah. Once I top that one, my momentum will take me through the rest of the sale. I just got to get up that first hill. And that's what that phrase does for you. Has anyone consulted with you with it, how to make sure that your new stuff doesn't end up looking like your old stuff? Is that something you'd like for me to do for you while I'm here today? I love the word today. It implies immediate action, right? Not just theoretical. We're going to do something. Is that something you'd like for me to do for you while I'm here today? All right.
Don, I truly believe with all of my heart that I could work for a company and do nothing but go visit 4 or 5 installs a day. And I truly believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that I could sell between $5 and $10 million a year just in breathe easy stuff. Based on my experience.
Yeah, I believe it. I certainly do. I see it all the time. $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sales. Our most popular package was $29.87, and it took 30 minutes to install. All right, 30 minutes of extra work, and it really wasn't extra because you're going to let the system cycle for 30 minutes and run. There's really no extra time at all, and we paid our installers the commission if they wanted to present that, and we taught them how to do it. And it was that phrase that did it most of the times. Anybody consulted with you?
Yeah.
Was that something you'd like for me to do before I leave today? And then you just say, all right, let me go, let me get back to work, and I'll get with you in a minute. Let them percolate a little bit. Don't just hit them with a ready to buy something or push it down their throat. Let them think about it, and then come back, and then you're ready to go through the presentation. Go build your list.
Especially as an installer, because you're not going to come off like a salesperson. You're not like overly excited to go do all this, but you're showing that you care. And people don't care what you know, guys, until they know that you care about them.
There you go.
Don, I did forget to mention that the event at the end of September 29th through October 3rd, that will be held in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. You've probably been seeing it scroll across the bottom. It's in an 18,000 square foot mansion out there. They've got 2 different names for it, but the most recent name is the Great Smoky Mansion. And it's on about 4 acres. It is the largest rental cabin in the entire state of Tennessee. So we got the biggest one that we could find. It's got 21.
What are you going to say to people that says that you rent these really expensive places and then just want to up the price of your ticket? Why aren't we doing this in a Motel 6 somewhere so it can be cheaper for people? Or would it really be cheaper if we did that?
It's funny that you say that, because some people have said that to me, and they're like, we're not sending people to these lavish events that you do. Well, as it turns out, I'm not that smart, but I'm not dumb. And I can do math, and I have a calculator. And as it turns out, it's actually cheaper from a participant's perspective to have it in one of these mansions than it is to have it in a hotel where everybody disperses at night. I cover all of your meals. It's actually way cheaper to do it this way. I cover all your meals. I cover some alcoholic beverages, right? The classes involved. You don't have to go anywhere. And also, Don, and not everybody's going to dig this. I get this is not everybody's speed, but I'm a family guy, right? And I have seen over the years when I've held these events, I've seen guys go out and get into trouble. They go away from the group to their own separate rooms, and it's like they disappear and they disperse. Next thing you know, you got guys, I'm just going to say, you got guys going to gentlemen's clubs, although I don't know why they call them gentlemen's clubs, right?
Yes.
Guys don't typically act very gentlemanly. So they go to the gentlemen's clubs. I've seen guys cheat on their wives. It's mind-blowing to me. So we decided that we wanted to create more of a family atmosphere where we keep people together. So you don't even need a car, just Uber from the airport. I'll have everything that you need while you're there. And if there's something that you need that you don't have, just come to me, see me. I'll get it worked out for you. All right. So we're really trying to protect these men when they go out of town, sometimes even from themselves. We're trying to protect their wives. We're trying to protect their families. And we're able to do it cheaper doing it this way than another way. And look, there is a part of me that says, why don't you put 200 people in a hotel and make more money? Well, look, at the end of the day, there's some things that are as important or sometimes more important than money. So that's why we do it this way, Don. That's why we do it this way, listeners. And for those of you that are in alignment with our values and things like that, we might be the perfect fit for you.
Right.
You're not gonna see me in the bathrooms snorting cocaine. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna have I don't even like to shake hands with other women, right? Like that's just we're a different kind of breed over here. So,
and we spend all the extra time chatting in and around the group, but we're sitting there chatting about business and sales and role playing these things. That's the thing that's different. When the training is over in the classroom, that's when it just starts. We start just having good conversations and
it's exhausting.
Yes, it really can be very, very tiring for you. You're up there all day teaching, and then even at night we're having conversations. You're up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, just making sure.
I've seen guys make connections so strong that like they're fucking crying when they excuse my language. I might have to bleep that out for YouTube or something, but they literally, you make connections across the entire country and new friends and that can help you, that are rowing in the same direction, that have got similar goals.
Right.
Jim Rohn said that you are the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. Consider your circle and whether or not your circle is rowing in the direction of your goals and your dreams and aspirations. And the last thing I'll say before we end this is that, guys, the road to success can be lonely. Zig Ziglar says it's lonely at the top, but you eat better, right? As you grow in your life, as your goals change, as you start striving towards those goals, there are going to be people in your life that are not on the same wavelength. And it's okay. I want to let you and give you permission right now that it's okay if they don't come with you. It's okay to leave people behind. You cannot allow your destiny to be stifled by other people that have got smaller thinking than you. It doesn't mean that you have to be mean to them, but you might lose friends. You might lose relationships that you feel like are important to you right now. But it's better to be authentic to what you want out of life than to hold yourself back for other people. All right. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this today, please put a boom in the comments. I love you guys.
I think the funny line, sometimes the people in our office, in your business are there, and you could be the top guy. That's awesome. Do you want to be the big fish in a little pond, or do you want to be the big fish in a Ferrari? That's what the funny line was, is dream bigger. And sometimes when we bring people out to these mansions, they've never experienced luxury and high end and just the nicer things in life. And it gets their mind going that says, wow, I want to dream this big. I want to dream this big. I want that pool, or I want a lazy river in my backyard. I didn't even know that's possible, right? That's crazy, right? Sometimes it gets people to open their mind, raise their horizons, and go for more than they ever would.
Go for it, guys.
Yes. So, you want to be a big fish in a little pond. You want to be a big fish in a Ferrari. I like that one a lot more. So, yeah.
We're all going to have problems. You know what I mean? Life's going to hit us all. I mean, you're going to go through stuff. You're going to go through depressions and things throughout life. But I'd rather be depressed in first class or a private jet than in a Prius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the money doesn't make you happy, but neither does poverty. Poverty sucks. I've been rich and I've been poor, and I'll promise you rich is better.
I'll choose it every time. That is definitely
You've been rich and you've been poor, Don. Rich is better.
It is a lot better. So,
and there's nothing wrong with money, guys. Money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. All right. Money just makes you more of who you are. And I just want to ask you a question. I'm going to end with this. Who can help more people? The guy that makes $30,000 a year or the guy that makes $1 million a year? If you want to have real impact on other human beings, be rich. Strive for it, okay? Because you get to help a lot more people. Some of the things that Brittany and I get to do for other people, we couldn't do if we didn't have the means to do them. So Ninjas, I appreciate you tuning into this episode of the Black Belt Sales Podcast. If you are listening on Spotify or on the Apple Podcast, please go over and leave us a review. I would appreciate it so much. And if you are with us live or on a replay right now, will you please put somebody's name down in the comments that you think would benefit from this? That would mean the world to me. I love you guys. We will see you. We'll see you. I don't know if we'll be on next week or not, because Brittany and I are taking off to go to New Orleans for a week just to go hang out. We're going to see some fireworks there. So we'll see whether or not we can make it happen. We might have to do it from the airport or later on the evening or something. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it is 4th of July next week. Guys, be safe. Get through this. But
thank you, Christopher Lee. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, David. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Don.
Make the most of the calls you're on. And if that includes being thorough and just knowing that you're going to follow up this fall, that's better than burning the call. Let's be thorough. Let's do our inspection. And then let's make the most of every call, even if it takes 4 months before we close the whole list. Okay?
Yeah.
Some good comments popping in there. Thanks, guys, for that. It really helps. Really love seeing this.
Love you guys. Have a great day. Go kill them, ninjas. See ya.